everyone. Today at Elephant Fest, we have an interview with Tarryn Fisher, best-selling author of The Wives, a novel we published in translation at Editura 3. Welcome to Romania, Tarryn Fisher. Even it's an online visit, we welcome you.
Well, thank you very much.
We are very happy to have you today. And I will start with a bit tricky question. What was the subject of your first book? The first book you wrote, not the first book you published.
The subject of my very first book I ever wrote.
Yes.
Women's liberation. I think I was maybe 18.
And before that?
Before that,
at 11?
I wrote a book about 4 orphans that escape from the orphanage and they're on the run. And wherever they stop, there's a mystery and they have to solve the mystery. But they're always being chased by people who are trying to take them back to the orphanage.
So you and writing was an early love story.
Yes, I always say I started reading Enid Blyton. She writes about a magical tree. And I read that book when I was 6. And I say that I fell in love underneath a tree because that was when writing started for me, when I read those books.
Great. Let's talk about The Wives. It's a very powerful novel about love, vulnerability, emotional dependence, revenge. What inspired you to write The Wives?
Well, I was actually newly married to my second husband, and I was pregnant. And I was very hormonal and emotional, but I was also considering the future. How was I going to manage this? I'm the one having to carry the baby and give birth to this baby. And then after the baby, I have to take care of this baby. And where is the male responsibility in all of this? And I think the book was rooted in a little bit of bitterness because a woman will give so much of themselves. They'll give everything to whomever they love. And how far does a woman go with giving, giving, giving before her mind snaps? And these were the things I was considering as I was pregnant. I was suffering from extreme depression when I was pregnant. And then I was just thinking, you know, we do so much for what we love. We're willing to risk our whole selves, our mind, our bodies, everything. And so that is how The Wives was birthed, because this character will do anything for him and anything for love, no matter what it costs her. So I was definitely expressing those feelings in the book.
Yeah, you did a quite great job. When I read The Wives, I felt that you have the same powerful writing as Gillian Flynn in The Gone Girl. That feeling that something's gonna happen and it's not good. I know you have a story about you and Gillian Flynn. I don't know if I can call it a friendship, but maybe it was just a correspondence.
Right, it was actually only a correspondence. I started reading her when she published her early novels, and they were so dark. And I thought, nobody else is doing this, writing about a woman's darkness. So I emailed her, and I praised her, and I remember quoting one of the lines from her book. And she said, I love that line too. I worked really hard on that line. And then she gave me advice. And I took that advice to heart. So, I mean, she probably wouldn't even remember me. It was just a quick correspondence. But that 10 minutes she took to talk to me almost gave form to my whole writing career. So, yes, I'm very grateful to her. I do wish we were friends.
You still have time.
Yes.
Yes, and we at Editura 3, we are the Romanian publishers for Gillian Flynn also. So you're in very good company. Yes. Tell me, please, we have three female characters: Thursday, Monday, and Tuesday. Have you find any inspiration in your friends, or I don't know, women around you for these characters?
I think the characters represent women as a whole. I'll say that their name's Hannah. She represents kind of a young, trusting, naive woman. And Regina is the divorced, kind of embittered, scorned woman. And then Thursday is the woman who is being currently lied to. She's the one telling everybody's story. But no, they kind of just represented just phases of life almost that women go through, the three different women.
Yeah, that's great. You have 11 books wrote by yourself, right?
Yes.
And a series, Never Never, wrote with Colin Hoover. Is it any difference between writing alone or writing with someone? I guess it's hard to write with someone, with a stranger.
Well, I was writing with my best friend, so she's my best friend, and the idea was initially hers, and she wasn't writing it, and I kept saying, write that book, and she was doing other things. So eventually I wrote the first chapter to that book and sent it to her, and she said, oh, okay. And then she wrote the next chapter, and so we sort of passed it back and forth. And it was a lot of fun. We didn't have any expectations. We were just doing something together. So that makes a big difference. It was easy if you're working with someone you know and love.
Yeah. You were born in South Africa and lived there for some years. How was your childhood there?
My childhood there, I went to the only mixed school in South Africa. The pastors of our church started this school, and we had every color in the school, and we often received bomb threats and threats of violence against the school because of that. However, when I was growing up in South Africa during the apartheid, my parents never explained the apartheid to me. So I had no understanding. I didn't realize, I was still a young child, that everything was separated. And there was a point where for one of my birthdays, I said to my mom, I would like to go to the movies with my friends for my birthday. And I think I was 10. And she said to me, Tarryn, your friends can't go to the movies with you because you're not the same color. And that was the very first moment I realized that I was living in apartheid. And I didn't understand it fully until I came to America and had a new perspective. But yes, it was very unique. Now, as an adult, I look back and I can see all the sins that were being committed against people. But I wasn't aware of them then, and I wish I was. I would have been an activist earlier, I think, if they'd explained it all. They were trying to protect me and give me a sense of it's normal for everyone to be together, but they never spoke to me about how wrong the other situation was. So
I think that in retrospective, that period was very delicate for your family, and it was not easy for your parents to.
No.
Did your South African heritage influence your writing?
Oh, very much, because South Africa was British colonized. So I read a lot of British books and British authors. And still to this day, I think I favor the British voice in stories. So yes, the entire experience of growing up there affected what I am today as a writer and a person.
As I told you before our recording, I found a very emotional and profound and powerful for me post you wrote on Facebook around the George Floyd incident last year. And I will quote you because it's a very beautiful quote. While every single life on this planet is valuable, for centuries and across nations, society has picked a new people to bully. There's never a shortage of people to marginalize and oppress. What there should be is a shortage of people who tolerate oppression. I think it's beautiful, and I thank you for that. I was touched and very impressed about that post. How did you live that pandemic period? I think that everywhere in the world, this period has caused some latent problems to erupt. And US was a very troubled place. How was it for you the last year?
It brought, we were all locked in our homes, hiding from the pandemic. And then we were watching everything play out on the media, and there were marches in my city. There was a lot happening where I live, just not far away from where I live. And I think I was just watching and listening and learning and examining myself over the last 20 years, if I aided the negative things that are happening, what I could do moving forward. So it was definitely a quiet period where I grieved. I'm very tied to people. I feel people's hurt. So I listened and I learned, and then I channeled whatever I was feeling into my writing. I think that's why I write very emotionally, because what's happening around me affects me so deeply. But all we can do right now is listen and learn. It's not a time to be talking and trying to talk louder. So that's the period that I'm in my life. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that I took during the awful pandemic just to learn and fill it with learning instead of depression, because I was very easy to get depressed about what was happening. So I just switched focus.
I know you have 3 kids, and 2 of them are teenagers. And I feel that being teenager in this time, it's also great, but it is very troubling for, I don't know, you are trying to figure out who you are, and around the world seems to collapse. Do you talk to your kids about all those events? Or I have a son. He has a very strong opinion about those things, and he tends to be an activist.
That's what I think. They're being made into activists, and I think it's beautiful. There's positives and negatives, but that's the way the world has always been. No matter when you're growing up, you feel the outside pressure of whatever's happening politically and societally. So I think they're doing a really good job. I'm very impressed with them. from a young age, they're starting to have strong opinions and beliefs and a voice. They're developing their voice. So I'm a big fan of the next generation. I think they're going to fix things. And they're being raised by us.
Yeah, I agree. We should be proud.
Yes.
Tell me about the wives. We go back to the wives. Do you have any news about the TV adaptation, the TV series?
I don't yet. The last I heard, they were working on a script. So I'm not sure where they are in the process. I like to leave them to themselves. That's them creating their art, and I'm the writer, and I create, a different art. So I'm very excited to see. I want to know who's going to play Thursday.
Yeah, me too. Romanian readers will have also the novel you wrote about after The Wife.
The Wrong Family?
Yes, The Wrong Family. Right now is in translation. Just tell us a bit about this novel, just a teaser.
Well, the novel is about, most of my novels are centered on women. So you have two women living under the same roof, and they're very different, but they're also the same. And the woman who is renting the room, she overhears a secret. And she becomes obsessed with finding out the truth. So that's how the novel unfolds, with these two women living together and one of them trying to uncover what's really happened in the past. And it's not as, I would say, sexy as The Wives. The Wives was a very sexy book. This one is a very internal, kind of creepy feel to it.
Great. We will like it.
Okay, good.
I also read about you that you love Rome and Paris. Mm-hmm. How was your meeting with these two European cities?
Oh my goodness. I was made for those cities. I was made for Europe. I love history. I love established people. America is very new and Europe is old, and I can feel it when I'm there, and I really appreciate that sort of elegance. So, oh my goodness, I'm in love with Europe. Like, just let me wander your streets and drink your wine, and I'm so happy.
So you should come to Bucharest when things will be okay, and bring your family, because we have a beautiful country. I also read about you that you like fashion, or no, you see fashion as a way of self-expression, right?
Yes.
And you also had or have a blog, Guise of the Villain.
Yes, I haven't had time in a very long time. When I had a baby, it took the last of my few minutes I had. But yes, fashion is a way to express what you feel on the inside for me. And I think artists are like bombs. We're just always ready to explode. So you have to have ways to channel some of the energy out of yourself. So yes, clothes became one of the ways that I could express what I'm feeling.
Nice. And also you like Eminem. Could you tell me the first 3 songs that pop in your mind right now?
Well, the first one is The Real Slim Shady, always. Eminem is a poet. He doesn't care what anybody thinks, and that is what I take from him. I've memorized a lot of those lyrics to a lot of those songs. So I would definitely say, I don't even have my phone because all the names have flown out of my head. I like it when he performs with Dr. Dre, and I love his songs with Rihanna. Like, I need a doctor and a monster under my bed.
Great. Tell me, do you have literary friendships? Are you friend with other writers? You said about Colleen Hoover, but anybody else?
Oh yes, I have most of my friends at this point are writers. I don't know how that happened, but yes, you get great support being in a community of people like you, and we bounce a lot of ideas off of each other. When we get stuck, we help each other move forward. It's a very necessary community for somebody like me. I need them.
Great. And can you give us some names?
Some of my very close friends are Dina Silver and Kathleen Tucker. She also writes thrillers. I'm friends with Alessandra Tor. She wrote a book called The Ghost Writer, which is one of my favorite books. It's excellent. Caroline Kepnes, who is the author of You. She is a wonderful supporter of everybody else. Mostly woman, I think.
Very nice. My last question. If you could move tomorrow anywhere on this planet, where would you go?
I would move to London. I would move to a flat in London. That would make me very happy.
Great. Thank you so much, Tarryn Fisher, for being with us today. And I renew the invitation to visit Romania when things will be okay for everybody. And Romanians are enjoying the wives, and I am sure they will love also the wrong family. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for reading. I appreciate it.